The sky above the alien planet Vel-Tora was purple and glowing. Captain Ryan stepped out of the spaceship with his team. He had traveled across the stars for this mission. Their goal was simple: make peace with the alien race called the Vel-Tari. Ryan looked around. The ground was soft and blue. Strange plants moved like they were alive. A group of tall, elegant alien women stood nearby, waiting. Their skin shimmered like glass. Their eyes were bright gold. They wore long, flowing dresses made of shiny silk. "Captain," said Lieutenant Sarah beside him, "they're here to greet us." Ryan nodded. "Let's make history." The alien women stepped forward. They smiled softly, their lips glowing faintly. The leader, a tall woman with silver hair, spoke in perfect English. "Welcome, humans. We greet you with the honor of Vel-Tora." Then, before anyone could move, every female alien slowly lifted their dress from the front just a little. Not in a rude or funny way, but with seriousness and pride. The humans froze. Ryan blinked. His jaw dropped. Sarah covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. Private Jenkins whispered, "Sir, is this what I think it is?" Ryan didn't answer. He was trying to keep a straight face. His training didn't prepare him for this. Was this an attack? A test? A weird alien joke? The alien women stood calmly, dresses still lifted slightly, revealing a glowing mark just below their navels. It pulsed with light, changing color slowly. The leader spoke again. "This is the greeting of truth. We show what is hidden. We give trust. You must accept or insult us." Now Ryan was sweating. "Do they expect us to do the same?" he thought. He turned to his translator device. "Confirm this is not something else?" The AI translator beeped. "Confirmed. This act is a peaceful ritual. Sign of trust, respect, and alliance." Jenkins whispered again. "Sir, do we lift our uniforms?" "Absolutely not," Ryan snapped. "At ease." He stepped forward slowly. "We thank you for your greeting. Earth accepts your tradition. We are honored." The aliens smiled, lowered their dresses, and clapped softly. A warm breeze passed. The tension dropped. The leader stepped closer. "I am Elvana, Princess of Vel-Tora. You must dine with me." "Princess?" Ryan repeated. "Yes," she said, her voice soft but firm. "You accepted the first greeting. Now you must learn our ways. You are now part of our bond." Ryan tried to hide his confusion. He forced a smile. It would be an honor. As the humans followed the princess to her palace, Jenkins leaned toward Sarah and whispered, "Did that really just happen?" Sarah laughed. "You better hope there's no second greeting." Ryan heard them but didn't react. His eyes were on Princess Elvana. She walked like she floated. She didn't look back, but somehow, Ryan felt she was aware of him the entire time. Inside the palace, everything was glowing. Walls were alive with soft lights. Music played from nowhere. Alien food floated on hovering trays. Elvana turned to Ryan. "Tell me, human, why did you not show your hidden part during the greeting?" Ryan coughed. On Earth we do things differently." She tilted her head. Strange, yet interesting. Ryan tried to stay calm, but his heart was racing. Then she said something that chilled him. "I chose you when I saw your image. The greeting was just the beginning." He blinked. "Chose me? For what?" She smiled. "You'll know. Very soon." Captain Ryan sat inside the grand palace of Vel-Tora. Everything around him felt unreal. The walls glowed gently like the inside of a living creature. Floating lights danced above their heads. Alien food was served. Nothing had a shape he could name. But none of that made Ryan as nervous as the Princess Elvana, sitting across from him, staring. She hadn't taken her golden eyes off him since they entered the hall. He tried to relax. "Thank you for the hospitality, Princess." Elvana nodded. "You accepted the first greeting. That makes you different from others." Ryan gave a small smile. "I didn't want to be rude. She leaned in slightly. Most would have laughed or refused. You didn't. That means you are open to the bond. Ryan blinked. What bond? The heart link, she said calmly. It forms after the first greeting when both souls are open. Now Ryan froze. Heart link? That wasn't in the alien guidebook. He looked toward Lieutenant Sarah, who was sitting nearby, pretending not to listen, but clearly watching everything. She raised her eyebrows like, "What have you gotten into now?" Ryan cleared his throat. "I didn't agree to any link." Elvana tilted her head. "It has already started." He stared at her. "Wait. Are you saying that just by watching your greeting, I entered into some kind of alien marriage?" Elvana didn't laugh. She simply said, "You were chosen, and now others will know." Before he could ask more, a loud sound shook the palace, a deep hum like an alarm. Soldiers in silver armor rushed in. Elvana stood calmly. "They've come." Ryan stood, alert. "Who?" A tall alien male entered the hall. His armor was red. His face was harder than stone. "General Karvek," Elvana whispered. "My father's war advisor. He opposes human contact." The general pointed at Ryan. "Remove the outsider." He defiled the greeting with laughter and insult. Ryan stepped forward. "I didn't insult anyone." "You stood frozen. That means fear. Weakness. Our laws say." Elvana raised her hand. "He is under my protection." Everyone went silent. Ryan looked between them. "What's going on?" Elvana turned to him. "Vel-Tora has factions. Some welcome humans. Others hate them. The greeting is more than a tradition. It's a test. If you failed, they could demand punishment." Ryan's heart pounded. "So I passed?" She nodded. "Yes. But now, you belong to me." Ryan's jaw dropped. Before he could speak, Elvana stepped closer. "They can't hurt you now, but they will try to test you again. If you leave now, they may attack Earth." Ryan's thoughts raced. What started as a simple peace mission was now political drama, strange customs, and, possibly, alien marriage. "Lieutenant," Sarah whispered in his earpiece. "Sir, I think we need new orders." He whispered back, "We're way past orders." The general scowled. "This is not over." Then he left, his soldiers marching behind. Elvana looked at Ryan. "You must learn our ways, or next time you may not survive." Ryan sat back down slowly. He had trained for war, for diplomacy, for survival, but not for bizarre alien customs, involving dresses, bonds, and secret tests. And somehow, he had just become the center of it all. Captain Ryan woke up in a soft, glowing bed. The ceiling above him shimmered like stars. He wasn't in his ship anymore. He was inside Princess Elvana's palace, and today, things were going to get stranger. He sat up quickly. His clothes were changed, now wearing a long silver robe, light as air. He looked around, confused. "Where's my uniform?" a soft voice replied. "You are no longer just a visitor. You are under royal care now." It was Princess Elvana. She entered the room without sound, walking like a breeze. She wore a new dress, longer than before, with small jewels that changed color as she moved. Ryan tried to stay calm. "With all respect, Princess, what's happening here?" She smiled. "You are invited to the ceremony of joining." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Joining? Like a wedding?" She laughed softly. "No, human, not yet. But it is the first step in bonding your soul to Vel-Tora." He stood up. "I'm not sure I'm ready for all this." Elvana stepped closer. "You already passed the first greeting. You defended peace in the hall, and now you must show your willingness to understand our way." Ryan sighed. "What if I refuse?" She paused. "Then our bond will fade, and Vel-Tora will see Earth as weak. The general is waiting for that." Just then, a hovering orb floated into the room. It glowed red. A voice came from it, deep and sharp. "Princess Elvana, this is General Karvek. I demand the outsider take the test of honor, publicly. If he fails, the alliance ends. The orb faded. Ryan clenched his fists. What's the test of honor? Elvana looked serious now. It's an ancient tradition. You will stand in front of my people. You will face questions, illusions, and temptations. If you remain true, they will accept you. If not, they will exile you. He laughed nervously. That sounds like a reality show back home. She didn't laugh this time. You have one choice, Ryan, she said softly. Show your heart, or leave Vel-Tora forever. Later that evening, Ryan was taken to a glowing arena in the middle of the city. Thousands of aliens watched silently from the glass platforms above. He stood on a platform surrounded by floating mirrors. Each mirror began to shift, showing images from Ryan's memories, his fears, regrets, even his love for Earth. A voice echoed, "Will you hide who you are?" One mirror showed Ryan as a child running from bullies. "Will you lie to protect yourself?" Another showed a past mission where he disobeyed orders to save innocent lives. Ryan breathed heavily. These weren't just tests. They were inside his head. And then, a final image appeared. Princess Elvana, lifting her dress during the greeting. The crowd waited. "Why?" the voice asked. "Did you not respond in the same way?" Ryan looked up at the crowd, then he smiled. "Because I didn't understand it. Where I come from, such things are private, personal. But here, I see now, it was not about the body. It was about trust. So no, I didn't lift my uniform that day. But if trust is what you seek..." He reached down and removed his robe, revealing the glowing pendant Elvana had given him. Gasps filled the arena. The pendant pulsed, bright red, then gold, then white. The crowd began to cheer. Princess Elvana stepped onto the platform, her eyes shining. He has passed the test of honor. The general stood nearby, silent, angry, but defeated, for now. As the people celebrated, Elvana whispered to Ryan, "You didn't have to remove the robe." He smirked. "I thought it was tradition." She smiled. "Now, you've truly begun your journey. Tomorrow, you will meet my father, the king." Ryan's smile faded. He wasn't sure which was scarier, the test of the people, or the father of the alien woman he might be bonded to. Captain Ryan stood in front of a massive golden gate. Two alien guards with glowing spears stood silently. Behind that door was King Vel-Tora, ruler of Vel-Tora, and father of Princess Elvana. Ryan adjusted the royal robe Elvana gave him. It was tight at the shoulders, itchy at the neck, and way too shiny. But the bigger problem? He had no idea how to greet an alien king. "Remember," Elvana whispered beside him, "do not bow too low. That's a sign of weakness. Do not speak first, and do not look directly at his third eye." "Third eye?" Ryan asked, confused. Before she could explain, the doors creaked open. The throne room was dark. Long candles floated in the air. A strange smell filled the room, like burning flowers. At the far end, the king sat on a crystal throne. His robes were massive. His beard shimmered like ice. And yes, on his forehead was a glowing third eye, slowly blinking. Ryan stepped forward with a deep breath. One wrong move and this could turn into a diplomatic disaster. "Human," the king spoke, his voice deep like thunder. "You have caused much noise in my palace." Ryan stood tall. "I didn't mean to, Your Majesty." "You passed the first greeting, then the test of honor. Now you sit with my daughter." He paused. "Are you trying to become my heir?" Ryan nearly choked. "What? No, sir. I was just trying to avoid starting a war." The king stared at him for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was loud, deep, echoing. "You're honest. That is rare." Elvana stepped forward. "Father, Ryan is not here to claim power. He is here because I chose him." The king turned to her slowly. You chose a human. Do you understand what that means? She nodded. Yes, and I do not regret it. The king stood from his throne. Everyone in the room went quiet. He walked down the steps slowly, his golden boots making no sound. He stopped in front of Ryan. Then we test him one final time, here, at my table. Ryan gulped. Minutes later, Ryan was sitting at a giant floating dinner table with dishes spinning slowly in the air. Alien foods blinked, moved, even whispered. Some looked like meat. Others looked like jellyfish. Elvana smiled. Try the blue one. It's sweet. Ryan picked up a spoon, but the blue jelly screamed and jumped off the plate. He dropped the spoon, in panic. The king raised an eyebrow. On Vel-Tora, food must be caught. It tests patience. Ryan sighed. This planet really likes tests. The king smiled faintly. It shows who you really are. Then came the final dish. A large silver bowl was placed in front of Ryan. Inside it was a strange red glowing fruit with smoke rising from its skin. This is the trial fruit, the king said. Only those with true courage can eat it. Ryan looked at Elvana. She nodded slowly. It's not dangerous, but it will show your deepest truth. Out loud, Ryan raised the fruit. So like, alien truth serum? No, the king said. Worse, your heart will speak. Ryan took a deep breath. Then he bit into it. The room went silent. The fruit was hot, then cold. Then, his chest felt heavy. He stood up suddenly. His mouth opened, and then he spoke. Not with his mind, but with his heart. I'm afraid of not being good enough. I hide behind missions and jokes. I don't know why I stayed here, but I feel something for Elvana. Something real. And I don't want to leave her behind. He stopped. Everyone stared. Elvana was frozen. The king looked thoughtful. Then he spoke. You are brave, human. You have eaten the trial fruit and faced your truth. He walked to his throne and sat down. You have my respect, but not yet my blessing. Ryan lowered his head. Understood. But, the king continued, you may stay, and if, by the next moon, you prove your heart to my people, I may call you son. That night, Elvana and Ryan walked together in the glowing gardens. You didn't have to say all that, she said softly. I didn't want to, he replied, but your fruit made me. She laughed. That was the honest part I liked. They stopped near a tree that hummed with music. Ryan looked at her. What happens if I fail the next test? Elvana looked up at the stars. Then, I lose you, and the bond fades forever. He took her hand gently. Then I guess I better not fail. The night sky over Vel-Tora was calm, filled with glowing stars that shifted in patterns. But below that beauty, danger was quietly growing. Captain Ryan walked beside Princess Elvana in the royal garden, unaware that someone was watching them from the shadows, listening and waiting. Behind the glowing trees, a cloaked figure whispered into a small communicator crystal. The bond is growing stronger. We must act now. Inside the palace, Ryan was beginning to feel like he belonged. Vel-Toran children ran past him and waved. Servants smiled when they saw him. Even the guards who once glared at him now nodded with respect. But Ryan knew something was wrong. He could feel it. He approached Elvana as she stood beside a glowing pond. Has something changed? Everyone seems too quiet. Elvana looked troubled. They are afraid, not of you, but of what your presence means. Ryan frowned. What does it mean? She turned to him. The last time someone formed a bond with royalty, it caused a civil war. He stepped back. You're telling me this now? I didn't want to frighten you, but I had to hope this time would be different. Suddenly, a small explosion, rocked the palace. Alarms echoed. The sky turned red for a moment. Ryan and Elvana rushed toward the balcony. Smoke was rising from the Hall of Bonds, the ancient place where alien couples swore loyalty. Elvana gasped. "They've destroyed it." Ryan clenched his fists. "Who?" A voice behind them answered coldly. "Those who still follow General Karvek." Ryan turned. It was Commander Shira, a loyal guard of the princess. She bowed. "The rebels have started moving. They want the bond broken before it becomes permanent." Elvana's eyes narrowed. "Then we stop hiding. We face them." Shira hesitated. "Princess, if you do that, they may try to take your life." "I know," Elvana said, "but I will not run from my own people." Ryan looked at her. "And I'm not running either." That night, the palace held an emergency council. All noble houses gathered. Some supported the princess. Others stared at Ryan like he was a disease. The king sat silently, listening to the voices shouting over each other. "He's changing our traditions. Vel-Tora does not need human blood. She's turning our future into a joke." Then a voice cut through the noise. "You are all cowards." It was Elvana. She stepped forward, standing tall beside Ryan. "We welcomed peace, we welcomed truth. This man stood in our tests and passed everyone. He risked exile, shame, and even death just to understand us." Some in the crowd looked ashamed. Others looked angry. And then a blade flew through the air. It was aimed at Elvana, but before anyone could react, Ryan moved. He caught it with his bare hand. The blade cut his palm, but he didn't drop it. Blood dripped onto the floor. The hall went completely silent. Ryan lifted the blade for all to see. "If this is what your trust looks like, then I will bleed for it, but I will not walk away." Even the king stood up. Elvana rushed to Ryan's side. "You didn't have to do that." He smiled, despite the pain. "Yeah, but I wanted to." The king walked down the steps. He looked at the blade, then at Ryan's bleeding hand. "Enough," he said firmly. "This human has earned more than respect. He has earned our protection." The crowd bowed their heads, but in the far corner, hidden in the shadows, General Karvek watched silently, his eyes burning with rage. "This is not over," he whispered. "I will not let a human sit beside my future queen." The city of Vel-Tora slept under a calm, purple sky, but far from the shining towers deep beneath the ground, General Karvek prepared his final move. Inside a dark war chamber, he stood before his most loyal warriors, faces hidden, armor black, eyes burning. "The bond must be broken tonight," he growled. "While the princess is distracted, the human will walk into my hands willingly." Back at the palace, Captain Ryan stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing river. His hand was wrapped in a bandage from the blade attack. But his mind wasn't on the pain. It was on the future. Princess Elvana stepped beside him. "You've become a symbol, Ryan. The people talk about you like you're a legend already." He laughed softly. A confused, injured legend. She smiled. "Still, you gave them hope." A sudden beep on Ryan's communicator broke the moment. "Urgent signal from Earth Command," it said. Ryan frowned. "That's strange. We weren't expecting a transmission." He followed the signal into the old part of the palace where communication relics were stored. The air was colder, quiet, almost too quiet. He activated the console. The hologram blinked. But it wasn't Earth Command. It was General Karvek. Ryan stepped back. "You? How did you?" "I know every path in this palace," the general said calmly. "And I know your weakness." The lights dimmed. Suddenly a gas hissed from the wall vents. Ryan covered his mouth, but it was too late. His eyes blurred. His legs weakened. The general's voice echoed as Ryan collapsed. "The princess will never bond with a human. Not while I live." When Ryan woke up, he was no longer in the palace. He was tied to a metallic chair inside a cold underground chamber. The walls were stone. The air was thick. General Karvek stood in front of him, a cruel smile on his face. "You passed every test, human, but now you face my test," Ryan groaned. "You couldn't just challenge me to a duel like a normal villain?" The general ignored the joke. "Tell me, Captain, what happens when your heart betrays your mission?" He snapped his fingers. Screen flickered on, showing Elvana locked in a glowing energy field. "If you truly care for her," Karvek said, "you will say it, on record, that you reject the bond." Ryan clenched his teeth. "Why are you doing this?" "Because she is the future of Vel-Tora. If she bonds with a human, our bloodline ends, our power ends." "You're afraid of change," Ryan said. "You're willing to kill her, to protect your pride." Karvek's eyes flared. "Say the words, human, deny her, or she dies." Meanwhile, in the palace, Elvana noticed something was wrong. She reached the old wing only to find smoke in the air and broken guards on the floor. Her heart sank. "He's gone," she whispered. "They took him." She turned to her guards. "Prepare my wingship. We go underground." Back in the chamber, Ryan was still refusing. "Kill me if you want," he said, breathing hard, "but I won't give you what you want." Karvek drew a blade. "So be it." Just as he raised it, an explosion rocked the room. Stone walls cracked. Light poured in. Elvana entered with armed warriors. "Step away from him." Karvek turned, shocked. "You found us?" She raised her hand. "You should have hidden better." A blast of energy hit Karvek, sending him flying. Elvana rushed to Ryan and untied him. "You're late," he joked. She smiled. "You're always in trouble." The guards arrested the general. His face was bruised, but his voice was still angry. "You think this bond will bring peace? It will bring ruin." Ryan stood with Elvana's help. "Maybe. But at least it's our choice, not yours." That night, Ryan lay in the healing chambers. Elvana sat beside him, holding his hand. "You didn't break the bond," she whispered. "Couldn't do it," he said. "Not after all this." She leaned closer. "Then be ready. Tomorrow, the king will decide your final fate." The sun rose slowly over Vel-Tora, casting golden light across the palace towers. But inside the throne room, the air was heavy with silence. This was not a day for celebration. It was the day of final greeting, a sacred tradition held only once. Every generation, Captain Ryan stood alone in the middle of the ancient chamber. No weapons, no translators. Just him, and thousands of silent eyes watching from above. At the far end of the hall, King Vel-Tor stood on a glowing platform. "Human," he said, voice calm and cold. "You have been tested by my daughter, by my people, and by your enemies. Today you face your last trial." Ryan bowed. "I'm ready." "You say that," the king replied, "but words are easy. So now, let's see your soul." A beam of light shot down onto Ryan. Suddenly the room around him disappeared. He wasn't in the chamber anymore. Now he was standing in a memory. Earth. His old home. The sky was gray. The streets were cracked. Sirens echoed in the distance. He saw himself, young, angry, walking away from his family after joining the space program. His father called out, "You always run when things get hard." Young Ryan shouted back, "I want something bigger than this broken world." The memory froze. Then Elvana appeared beside him, not real, but part of the vision. She whispered, "If you had the chance to go back, would you leave me to fix your own world?" Ryan's heart beat faster. He looked at his past, then at the princess. "No," he said. "I didn't know it back then, but the world I wanted was with you." The vision shattered. Ryan dropped to his knees back in the throne room. Sweat poured down his face. The king's voice echoed, "You faced your past. Now, face the truth." Another beam hit him. This time, Ryan stood inside a vision of the Vel-Toran future. Buildings burned. Aliens ran in fear. Humans and Vel-Torans fought in the streets. He saw Elvana standing in chains. The king was gone. General Karvek wore the crown. A voice whispered in Ryan's head. This is what happens if you stay. You bring war. Ryan closed his eyes. No, that's not the future. That's your fear. He stepped forward in the vision and held Elvana's hand. I don't want to control your world, I want to stand beside it. The vision dissolved like dust. Back in the real world, the room was quiet. The king stood slowly from his throne. You saw the worst of yourself, and still chose love. He stepped down toward Ryan. You are not just a visitor anymore. Elvana appeared at Ryan's side, wearing a ceremonial dress. This time she did not lift it. Instead, she opened her hand and revealed a small, glowing orb. Ryan of Earth, she said gently. Will you give your greeting freely this time? Not out of fear, but with trust? Ryan smiled. He stepped forward, and in front of all of Vel-Tora, he lifted the corner of his robe, just enough to reveal the royal pendant glowing on his chest. The crowd gasped. Then they cheered. Elvana laughed. The king finally smiled, and Ryan whispered, Still not used. To your customs. But I think I'm getting there. That night, a festival filled the city. Vel-Torans and humans danced together. Food was shared. Lights filled the sky. For the first time in centuries, two races stood side by side without fear. In the palace garden, Ryan held Elvana's hand. So, he said softly, Does this mean I'm officially yours now? She leaned against him. No, human. It means we belong to each other.